Hey up everyone, I'm your host Stef the Alter Nerd and welcome to the Zero to Success podcast, the series where I dive deep into the minds of YouTube's most intriguing content creators. Our guests open up about the realities of being in the YouTube world, and in each episode we learn more about their personality away from the camera. In this week's episode, I am joined by MLS Making Law Simple by attorney David Helm. So guys, grab your snacks, hold on to your butts, and let's dive in. Hey up everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Zero to Success podcast with me, Stef the Alter Nerd. I am joined by my good friend MLS Making Law Simple, attorney David Helm. Here is his channel right here for all of you good folk to see at home. If you are not subscribed to his channel, please make sure you do. The link will be in the description bar below. But yeah, David, thank you so much for joining me on this episode. How are you doing, mate?
I am doing good. Thanks for having me here today. Talk about my channel and some Lego, maybe.
Well, maybe, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to ask you on, because you're definitely an intriguing content creator because you think outside of the box and you have this like Lego series, which we will be discussing later on in the show. I have actually been in one of his, actually two of your episodes.
Do.
Two,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah, I'd be lucky enough to go into two of these episodes of the Lego series, and they are so much fun. So we'll be discussing that a little bit and more in today's episode. But yeah, let's get straight into it, first and foremost, with the section that I like to call content creation. So first and foremost, just like this Lego series, right? How do you come up with new content ideas, and where does your inspiration actually come from?
Uh, Mainly Twitter. No, I'll or something along those lines. Social media. I'll see an article or I'll see a story, and it'll get me thinking about things. And so then sometimes I do a little bit of a deep dive. I grab some documents and set up a stream. I do I do some pre-recorded videos as well. So sometimes I do some pre-recording. For example, I was in Washington D.C. and I know of a story where Ulysses Grant, President Grant at the time, was arrested. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to that spot and I'm going to make a little video. And so yeah, it's just weird, random little things that kind of have a law twist to them that I try to do.
In terms of, let's say, inspiration, so yeah, we've been discussing, this Lego series that you do on your channel. And so can you just explain to the folks at home what this Lego series is all about, and where your inspiration came from actually to do this in the first place?
So I'll have to credit another YouTuber, Valhalla Awaits, who's a goat farmer out of Tennessee, for maybe the initial idea of doing let's build some Lego together because we both talked about we like Lego. And so as we were developing this idea as to what this show was going to be, other than two grown adults playing with Lego, we kind of came up with the idea of doing it as an interview stream. We'll bring some people on and we'll interview them. And then the twist is that they'll also have to be building Lego while they're being interviewed, which kind of added another layer of energy and dynamic to it, which has been a lot of fun. Uh, so we'll bring guests on, various YouTubers or actors or anyone that's really interested in coming on, and we'll interview them while we're all building Lego at the same time.
And do you find that each and every time you do these episodes on your Lego series that it gets easier for you? Because, I mean, I remember the first one that I did, it was pretty difficult, me trying to concentrate on building the London skyline, which is still behind me to this day. It's still there as part of my set now. And then the second one, which was the Santa's kind of, what's it called now? I don't know.
It's like
Santa's
Santa's sleigh
truck
or something.
sleigh, whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it. And so, like, the second time around, I found it to be a bit more easier, and I beat Nick Starro. regardless if he wants to say it was a fix or there was some skew if with the figures this, that, and the other. I don't care. I still beat him fair and square. But yeah, do you find that each and every time that you do these episodes, it gets easier for you, just like it got easier for me in a way?
Yes, yeah, it does. And building Lego now is almost kind of like rote memory. You're just sort of doing it. You don't even think that you think about it, and you're constantly focusing on the guest and asking questions and stuff like that. So it does get easier, uh, but it's still kind of a fun challenge because every once in a while you sort of drift off, and then you're wondering what your guest just said, and then you got to kind of make up something. So it's a lot of fun.
So that was like quite a challenge for me to go onto those episodes and build Lego whilst trying to answer your questions.
It
So
sounds easy, right? Hey, we're
it's
gonna build
not.
some Lego, to have a little conversation. No big deal. This sounds like a laid back sort of stream, and it's kind of challenging.
It's harder than freaking trying to figure out the Rubik's Cube. But speaking of challenges, what's the biggest challenge that you faced in your whole YouTube journey and how did you actually overcome it?
Oh, okay. So the biggest challenge I have faced in my YouTube career and how I overcame it, I time time management, I would say, is one of the biggest challenges for me because I do have a full-time job. I do have wife and kids, and then you got to find time to do the like the preparation for the videos as well as the videos themselves. So time for me is one of the bigger factors. And but thankfully to technology, it's a little bit easier. Like right now, I'm not necessarily in my studio, I'm in my office, but I'm able to film this, and I was doing a stream earlier. So it's made it a lot easier to be able to do with technology. But time is always my biggest enemy.
Yeah, there's always that element of, the audience just sees what we produce, what we put out there, but what they don't see is all the time, effort, and work behind the scenes when the camera's not running. Oh, there's a lot of work that's put into, all the videos that we produce, all the streams that we do, that a lot of
There's
people
been
don't
some times
realize.
when I've got an idea and I've decided I'm going to do a video on this, and then I do sort of a deep dive and I put a lot of things together, and it's just not coming together the way I want it to. So I just sort of scrap the whole thing, or maybe I start over. But it's all that wasted time too. It's not maybe wasted time, but it's a bunch of time that you don't see on the screen.
Well, speaking of the audience, and them, well, a lot of them not realizing what goes on behind the scenes, front of house, in front of the scene, let's say. When it comes to, your audience and the community, how do you engage with them and actually manage to try and create a community around your channel? Because when I've come onto your channel, it's very, very easy to see that in the live chat, there is that sense of community. Everyone's there to watch you and watch your guests build Lego whilst trying to go through an interview. And, everyone's really invested in that when they're watching you. So how do you actually create that kind of sense of community and people getting engaged in all of that?
Well, for me, it was by accident. I didn't know about the community thing or the chat thing when I first started streaming live because I would always done when I first started the channel pre-recorded videos. And so when I started streaming live, and then all of a sudden there were people in the chat and they were commenting, and it created this sort of community, like you said. Um, it's how do I create it? I don't know. They found me, but the live streams are really where you can engage a lot more outside of other platforms. We're talking about YouTube here. The live streams are really a good opportunity to engage, as well as member only videos, which have been a lot of fun in the past. So some of the things that happen outside of the studio, I can film or stream live from, and that gives members a sort of a, I don't know, a sneak peek into the behind the scenes, and they appreciate that. And you get a lot of loyal followers that way.
And yeah, you do get a lot of loyal followers, a lot of people that support you and what you're doing on your channel. There's also the other side, though, that don't. So, how do you then deal with all the negative comments and criticism online?
I love the trolls. I get a kick out of them. I had one guy because I my studio is actually in a treehouse, and so I had one guy come into my chat and called me a homeless internet lawyer, and I had to pull it up in the chat and try to make friends with this guy because it was the greatest thing ever. Um, but I get a kick out of them. So I take them like that, or as you like to say, monetize it, right? I'll pull them up and in fact, some of my regular fans, I guess, for lack of a better term, uh, troll me on purpose in other chats or other things like that because they know I get a kick out of it. But that's really all you can do. Yeah, I mean, you can just have fun with it, you can ignore it, or you can let it eat away at your soul. And I'm not a fan of the last two, so I have fun with them.
Well, this is the thing, and you make a good point because I kind of look at it the same way in the sense of, when it comes to negative comments and criticism, as long as it's constructive criticism, I actually welcome it because it's an opportunity for me to
Right.
learn and better myself as a content creator. However, those that don't do that and are just being nasty for the funsies, for the clout, or whatever, um, I do laugh at
Well,
them. And I actually think, well, hang on a minute, their hate is actually still contributing to the success of our channels because they're still watching, they're still
yep.
commenting. And for YouTube, that's a view and that's engagement. And the more views and engagement you get, the more YouTube will push you into the algorithm and promote you further.
If you're going to be critical of a YouTube channel, now I'm going to give you two examples. I had one guy. I put together a script from it was a portion of Oliver Wendell Holmes' opinion on a First Amendment case, and I just had AI read it, and then I did a bunch of images in the background. I put together a short. Somebody commented, this looks like AI generated unsubbed or something like that. And I was like, okay, if you don't appreciate the AI generation, I'm fine with that. But why you got to unsub? But I took it to heart and I was like, you know what? Maybe we don't do the AI generation or we don't do it so in your face kind of thing. Even though the guy decided to unsub. And then there was another one where I had reposted a prior trial. So it was 8 days of testimony. I had just re-uploaded and I launched them all at the same time. And then a guy had commented and said, "You're spamming your channel, and I'm unsubbing because I don't want 8 notifications one after the other after the other." And I was like, "All right, I don't think he said he's unsubbing. He just didn't like that I launched all 8 at once." And I said, "You know what? That's actually a good point. I'm not going to do that again." So there are some suggestions that I get, but like maybe give the suggestions a chance before you unsub. Like if you have a criticism, throw it out there. We're always listening, we're always watching. But then give it a minute and see if the creator actually follows up.
Totally. So let's get into the technical aspects of being a YouTuber because it can be quite technical, depending on how far you really want to go with that, right? So, when it comes to first and foremost your production process, what are your, let's say, top 3 tips when it comes to the video production process? Anywhere between finding the idea to uploading the video, what would be your top 3 tips for that?
Are we talking about pre-recorded video then? Not live.
Yes, pre recorded videos, yeah.
Uh, I always say like the third level of writing is in the editing. If you can get creative with your editing, you can make even like the worst content really entertaining. Um, and or like boring content. Like I talk about law, right? And so the law can be really boring. So editing is is one of the top tips I would say. And you don't have to get expensive with editing. There's even an app on my phone that it's called Splice that I use I don't know if we're supposed to talk about apps, but that I use to edit a lot of videos on my phone and then publish them. And it's fairly inexpensive. It's really easy to use. So editing, having a good editing software And you could get them so cheap anymore. Um, the second one, if you want to become monetized, I would say focus on uh, some of the copyright things with the music or the videos you might use. There are plenty of sources out there that can help you, or you could buy a license from and use content, video and audio content that's not going to strike your channel, or not strike your channel necessarily, but uh, take away a lot of the profit, the ad revenue. Because if you use a song that someone else owns and you don't have a license to it, you can make all the great content, but you're not going to get any of the reward for it. Uh, they'll just give it to the person who owns the music that you're using. So I would say look for licensings like that. And there's plenty of websites out there that offer copyright free or licensed music that you can use really inexpensively. And then as far as the ideas, which is, I don't know if that's a technical aspect of it, um, something that you're interested in. Whatever you are interested in, someone else is also interested in it. But if you don't care, it's and you're making a video about it, it's not going to come across right. So whatever you're interested in, make a video about it and put it out there, and show your passion for it because that will get others interested. And I guarantee there's more than you that's interested in it. So I don't know. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, authenticity, I think, is very much key when it comes to the production process and being on YouTube. If you're not authentic, then people are obviously going to buy into you. They'll call out your fakery and tune into someone that is authentic, that is talking about and is interested in the same things that they are. I also do quite a number of things on my phone as well, my thumbnails being a large part of it. I'll use Midjourney to create some AI kind of imagery. Then I'll use Photoshop Express to create all in a thumbnail. And then the third kind of app, which is Pronto, to put on like the lettering on the thumbnail, and then that's it. It's all good
Yeah,
to go.
I use Canva as
Okay.
well as a good app for that. And then actually I use Mematic, which is designed to make memes, like take an image and put text. Sometimes I use that app too. You can get creative with it.
Yeah, definitely. You don't need to have a full on like master of the world, all singing, all dancing computer to do this. It can all done quite be like literally on your mobile phone. But you know, speaking of equipment, apart from let's say the camera and the microphone, which are the two obvious ones, what would be in your top three when it comes to the equipment that you actually use?
So the most important thing that I got once I started doing long trial streams and then wanting to break them down and edit them, and we're talking 8 hours worth of content sort of thing that I want to start editing and breaking down, was I got a gaming computer. Now I just got a gaming PC or a laptop, I mean, and then I got a gaming PC as the channel grew and I started doing more and more. Um, but you, you really don't need it. Uh, it's like it's comfort level, right? So in my studio, in my treehouse, I have a big PC, desktop PC. I have three monitors. I got a camera. I've got lights, but you don't need that. It's more for I want to be able to see this screen and that screen and that screen without minimizing anything. It's just comfort level. But you don't need it. Uh, I started this channel with a Sony camera, digital camera that also took 15-minute video segments, and I would just talk into it. And then I would splice those 15-minute segments in and edit them and post it up there. I think maybe at one point I got a white sheet behind me to do like at the time, this was 8, 9 years ago, it was that white screen behind you, the talking head kind of videos were really popular. And so that's how I started doing it with just digital camera I had lying around. So I don't know what other specialized equipment you need. Um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, right now I'm talking to you from my phone with Bluetooth headphones in. So
You see, there you go. You don't need, to spend thousands on equipment. I remember when I started with a Logitech webcam. and a USB mic that was like,
Yeah,
oh no, the webcam was like 80 quid and the USB mic was like £100. Like, you don't have to
this
spend a fortune.
this little mic, it's a portable like little mic, is like $20 on Amazon. I've got a low G webcam, which is, I don't know, probably $80 if I was to buy it new. But this is the stuff I just sort of carry around and have at the office for court Zoom and things like that. But you don't even, again, I'm on my phone right now talking to you.
Yeah, exactly. And so, when you start a YouTube channel, a lot of creators want to do it to, achieve the aim of also being monetized as well and growing. So, what would be your top tip that you'd advise any content creator to follow in order to actually get monetized on YouTube?
One of the biggest things that you could do is be consistent. Whether you're putting out a video once a month, or you're putting it out once a week, or you're doing dailies, or you're doing whatever, consistency is good because that will get the people returning. And that's I think that would be my top tip. Whatever you're going to do, be consistent with it.
And what key strategies and methods have you found to be the most effective for actually growing your own YouTube channel?
Oh my God. Well, I did mine, I feel like differently than others. So I don't know. Like I feel most YouTubers start putting out content and that's about it. I sort of created this community around me where I would invite my chatters, the people in the live chats, up onto the panel, and it created this little like family environment. And then, but those people then are watching other YouTubers, and then they say, "Hey, go check out MLS," and all of a sudden I had more people coming in. And it was creating this sense of we all sort of belong and we're all here, and incorporating people into um, sort of the fold, which gave them sort of like I don't know, maybe a sense of pride or sense of belonging. And then they went out and sort of spread the word and said, "Hey, everyone, come check out this channel." That was very helpful for me. Now, that might not be helpful in all genres and all channels, but that's what really helped me.
Yeah, well, I'm a little bit different as well. Working with Andy over on Popcorn Planet for a number of years, I learned that one thing that, let's say, a lot of budding YouTube content creators seem to forget or fall by the wayside is also branding. And so when I started my channel, I wanted to make sure that first and foremost, I had a brand, like a really good kick ass kind of logo with the banner and my intro and my outro and how everything looked on screen. I put a lot of effort and a lot of energy into that just as much as the content. Because, I think it's kind of similar to you in the sense of what you talk about, there's a million other channels that they could click on and they'll talk about the same thing. The difference is why they click on you, what your
Right.
unique selling point is. And for you, it was like, okay, I want to foster this community and I want to bring, my audience on screen with me. And so, that creates a sense of community that they then promote to other communities and then they all amalgamate and they come over to my channel, this, that, and the other, right? For me, yes, it was building a sense of community, but a community that was linked and associated to a brand that, was authentic, that people enjoyed, and that people were proud to be a part of. And so when you think of your own brand, what do you think that essentially stands for, and what the audience interprets from that?
So the name of the channel was originally Michigan Law Show. I'm a Michigan-based attorney, and it was MLS. And then we were trying to think of what MLS could stand for other than Michigan Law Show. And with cooperation with my chat, we changed and sort of rebranded it into Making Law Simple, which is really what I try to do is simplify the law and explain it to people. And so we kept sort of the same look, the yellow and the black and the MLS and the little TV since we're on YouTube, and kept all that and pushed the idea that this was, I don't know, law educational entertainment. And yeah, so that was sort of the branding, not the branding, but that was the community that we were growing, was entertaining, educational, law-based streaming and videos. Um, and in it and it worked out well, actually.
Yeah, it definitely worked out well. And so, thinking about what's worked out well for you on YouTube, what do you consider is the best thing about this platform?
About YouTube,
Yeah.
the reach, really. Everyone across the planet has YouTube. If you have internet, you have access to it. So the reach is amazing. It's the largest television network, if you think about it, in the world. Uh, it has more people are watching YouTube combined than they're watching their local television channels or cable channels anymore. It has resources and videos and shows and documentaries on every subject you can possibly imagine. So the reach that it has is the greatest thing about YouTube, and that you can, as a person, just sort of create a channel and fall right into that little niche market inside the largest television network in the world is kind of cool.
It's really, really cool how you summarized YouTube as being the largest TV network in the world. That just hit me that, because that's actually true, really, in the grand
Yeah.
sense of things. Okay, so for the largest TV network in the world, what do you think is the worst thing about YouTube?
Their dispute process. If you have any sort of dispute or issue with YouTube, whether it be a copyright claim or someone is saying that there's a licensing issue on a video or a song, or even trying to figure out how the AdSense works in that account and things like that. The follow-up process, the dispute resolution, the Q&A with Team YouTube, um, is extremely frustrating. That would be my worst, or the worst thing about
I would have to agree that's one of the worst things about YouTube, the dispute
it.
process. The fact that anyone could just copyright claim or copyright strike without any comeback on them if they do it erroneously or with ill intent, this, that, and the other, is absolutely insane. So yeah, I would definitely agree with you that that is one of the worst things about YouTube. And guys, that's it for this episode. Huge thank you to my good friend David Helm from MLS Making Law Simple for joining and allowing me to pick his brains. Now, stay tuned for the Zero to Success after show. It will be a shorter episode, about 5-10 minutes long, but I'll be asking his thoughts on the upcoming TikTok ban, how he avoids drama on YouTube, and a little bit more. So stay tuned for that. For those that have watched the main Zero to Success podcast, thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate all your eyeballs. Please make sure on your way out you do subscribe to this channel for more episodes. And with that being said, until the next time, you guys, laters.